Hello, good morning. This is Ken Evergreen. Today I want to talk to my African American brothers and sisters. Um, the main topic is the heart of Joseph. And when I say the heart of Joseph, I'm talking about Genesis 37. Genesis, you know the story of Joseph and the Bible, and I want to connect that story to the story of the slavery that has that has affected the African American people for generations. And you may ask, why am I qualified? Why am I talking about this? Well, first of all, because I have a revelation. But who am I? Well, I like to answer like the William brothers. I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody. And the revelation I have is has to do with Joseph and his story. You all know the Bible, you can read for yourself. Genesis 37, we see a young man here trying to deliver food to his brothers in the field who are grazing the animals. But instead of them receiving him, they ended up selling him. They ended up, throwing him in a well. And then they ended up tearing his lobe, dislobing him and tearing his lobe. And then when they saw the slave traders, traveling to Egypt, they decided to sell him for 20 shekels. That's the story that we have in hand. And we all know the story, how it went, it happened. Joseph ended up forgiving his brothers. He gave them food when they needed the food, when there was drought in the land of Canaan. He gave them food. He brought them into and settled them in Egypt, in a place called Goshen, where they flourished and they thrived. He basically took care of them. And we know that he never revenged all the wrongs that were done to him. And how is this, you ask, how is this, connected with the African American brothers and sisters? Well, what we do know is that the African people played a role in the slave trade. And you ask, how did it happen? What we do know is that the African people, some of them, they would kidnap the children or steal children and sell them for to go into slavery. We do know that some adults were kidnapped and sold to the agents who ended up, the European agents who ended up selling these people to be slaves. And most of them ended up in America. And that's where we pick up the story of that's where the connection is for the African American people and the Africans. Right now, when I went to college, I quickly realized that my African American brothers and sisters, when they heard you're from Africa, anytime they heard you're from Africa, they did not want anything to do with you. It seems there is beef, there is a conflict still that exists. And I don't know if it has been addressed or it hasn't been addressed, but the fact that there is beef, the fact that there was beef when I went to college, and even today there is some beef. If somebody sees, oh, you're from Africa and it's African American brother, sister, the attitude will change quickly, because that tells me there is heart. People are still hurting in their hearts. And that's why we are addressing this issue. And what I can advise, or the revelation I have, is let's do like Joseph. I'm praying for my African American brothers and sisters that they will have the heart of Joseph, that God will give them a heart of Joseph, so that they'll be able to forgive their African people. They'll be able to forgive those people who perpetuated the slave trade, those who participated in it, those who did so much wrong. These are people who are supposed to protect, but yet they sold. Just like Joseph, his brothers. Can you imagine? His brothers are the ones who sold him. And it's a similar story. The African Americans we have today, their ancestors, they were sold by their own people who are supposed to protect them, people who are supposed to take care of them. Instead they sold them to slavery. And that's a great wrong. And I don't know. There's nothing, for my part, um, other than offer an apology, which is not even. I don't know how that would be. If that would be even if fair. I don't know if that would be fair, because it's a big heart. A lot of heart was done. A big wrong. This is a big mistake. Big mistake happened by the Africans selling their own people to slavery. But the thing is, we have a God in heaven who can restore the heart, who can, make it better, who can bring peace, who can bring comfort. But the African American people have to be willing to forgive. And that's why I'm praying that God will give them the heart of Joseph, but also listen to the, message, listen to the, look at the story of Joseph, and examine your heart. Is there any bitterness? Is there any hurt still? When you look at the African people, do you feel like, they did so much wrong? And this, we are not talking about this generation. We are talking about, generations years ago. All right? Because these people who participated in these atrocious, acts, none of them are here anymore. But we do know it happened. So basically, the ancestors. So I mean, for my part, I do apologize for the ancestors who did all these atrocious crimes. And I pray for my African American brothers and sisters that they will have it in their heart to forgive the African people. And also, on top of that, the Bible says, Genesis 50:20, Joseph looked at the brothers and said, you know what? What was meant for evil, what you meant for evil, God meant it for good, so that many people can be saved. I want to bring it to your attention. There's many people suffering right now. Many people are suffering right now in Africa. They have no water. They have no food. All right. They have no clothes. They have only maybe one pair of shoes. And you can help them. You can step up and say, look, I'll help these people. I will let it go. Okay. I will let it go. And so we'll continue this message. But just